the colonies wanted, or the Federalists or the anti-Federalists wanted to make sure the people are, they asked about the Brown case versus Broward education. They asked about the map versus Ohio case. They did ask that one. They asked about all right, guys. As the title suggests, we're going to be talking about the Florida literacy test, guys. I just took it like literally a couple of hours ago, and one of the reasons why I decided to share this on my platform is because when I was looking for information about the exam, I've never seen enough where someone who has just experienced it and has a fresh memory to speak on it. And I think my memory is fresh enough to speak on it, because after a few more hours, I might not remember. Now, guys, you need 60% to pass. And this is an exam that is required once you're in the state of Florida. I think it's since 2021. I'm not sure, quote me, correct me in the comment section. Ron DeSantis decided that, yo, you need to have some form of government background. And it doesn't matter what's your degree, whether you're a nurse or business or, you know, history, it doesn't matter. You need this degree. And a lot of people who take this exam, like myself, most time will wait until the end of our, you know, term, end of all the classes that we need to graduate to take the exam. And like myself, I only need one more class, and I'm taking that class this summer, which means I have to take literacy exam in time so I can meet the graduation date that I'm trying to graduate on. And what to expect, guys, what to expect in the exam. I want to share this. If you practice, you will pass. I believe I pass. Well, not believe, I pass. I don't know the scores yet, because like I said, it takes a couple of days for it to post in your portal online. But when you do take the exam, it'll tell you yes or no, which means it says 60% or above, yes or no. If you pass, it'll say yes. If no, then you know you have to schedule to take it again. Some of the questions that came on the test for me, guys, is they're kind of a little bit tricky, because what I was studying, what I was practicing, even some of the videos that I see online and some of the questions that they ask online, the way they word it in the actual exam is totally different. And if you really don't look into it or study or think a little bit more, you're going to be like, I don't understand this. But you do understand it. You just got to read the question again. It did took me like I knew I had the exam today, and I started studying like 3 days prior, but I didn't do any intense study. I just went on YouTube, type in the literacy exam, and found the people that on the internet that talk about it. You have this platform that I recommend called Veggie, FAU University, something like that. Just type that in YouTube and look for their literacy video on their platform. That helped me a lot, because what the lady did, she was thorough with, it was two, part 1 and part 2. Once you watch those 2 videos, guys, I promise you, you'll be able to pass. So what I did was I watched those videos, listened to her talk, and what she did also, she did talk about some of the most important questions that might come on the test. If you hear the background noise, guys, don't bear with me. It's daytime and I'm recording this for you. But I'm gonna try to remember some of the questions that ask. Like they'll ask you question about the presidency. What can the presidency do? You know, and we know they'll ask you the questions in a way where it's not just like I asked you. They'll word it differently, but you know, once you look at the multiple choice answer, you'll see. So this is my tip for you guys. This is a tip I'm gonna give you. Let's say you're doing your practice exam and your practice quizzes, and you expect the question to be worded the same way you see it on the quiz. No, just look at the answer, the multiple choice answer, and based on what they say, it'll give you the answer. For example, in the case where Marlboro versus that's how you pronounce? Moray? I'm killing it. But for example, they'll tell you that that's a judiciary review case, but they won't ask it the way you read it on the internet, like, oh, I see everybody else read it. Or for example, they'll ask you about they'll ask you about the amendment. They'll say how much amendment got rectified or rectified. That's not the word. That's the R word. Oh man, I'm killing it, guys. I'm just trying to give you some idea that I did, but it's called how many, so basically the question is how many constitution are there? And you know it's 27 of them, right? But the way they worded it, it made it seems like they're asking you for how much added on to the Bill of Rights. You understand me? So you would think you would say 17, but it's total of 27. Or they'll ask you, the House of Representative, how much House of Representative are there, but they won't ask it like that. They'll ask you in a way like, like they would say, the House of Representative can only be this, and then you'll take in the midst of it they'll ask you like how many of it, and you'll be like 435. You know it's 435, or they'll ask you 2 years is the most a representative or 2 years a government official can be in, I guess, in power for or something like that. But when you look at the answer, you'll know that's the Senate. Instead of asking how much years can a Senate serve, or how many terms does a Senate have, and you'll be like, they could serve 2 years, 2 term, or how much term a president can serve, and you'll know. They won't ask it easy like that. They'll just reword it in some way that you weren't expecting. At least I wasn't expecting it that way. But after I get into the test and I start relax, I start reading the question thorough, and I realize, for example, the case, guys, I just do the test, so you know my brain is not kicking as I want it to, but the road case, is it Road, her name, where they asked you about the girl that wanted to bring her case to the Supreme Court because of the abortion situation, but instead of they said something about abortion, they asked in reproduction and privacy. So when you see the answers, you're going to know, oh, it's this, because this was her situation, but they use the word reproduction. Oh, guys, I hope this video that I'm doing is enough to kind of give you an idea of how to study and prepare. So what I would say and what I would recommend for you guys to do is just the channel that I tell you to check out, Veggie FAU, check them out. They got 2 videos, 1 and 2. Once you watch those videos, they'll give you questions. Even for federalism, instead of they ask you what is federalism, they'll be like, out of all these answers, which of these are a statement of federalism or something like that? They'll ask you a question like this that I remember in the Declaration. You know, they always ask in the practice quiz we see online, or even on quiz, they'll ask you the first 3 words in the Declaration of Independence, and we'll say we the people. Instead of they give you that, because they know that everybody, they'll say, yo, they'll find a different line in the Declaration of Independence and say, yo, these statements which are correct from the Declaration of the Independence, you know? Something like that, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's a good example. I could use that one. Because I was expecting to see we the people, because every test or practice quiz I see, it says we the people, but for the literacy exam, it's not. They just use a different line. They'll ask you about the Magna Carta and the Mayflower. They'll ask, which of these enlightenment did they took to help create the Constitution? And you'll see Magna Carta, Mayflower, you wonder which one. Or they'll ask you, which of these Supreme case change the Ferguson case. So you remember, is it Ferguson versus, Ferguson case is a situation where you wanted to go in the taxi or the car, and they said, yo, you got to go in the black car or the car that is not white because you're this. And they said they ruled against him at the time because they're saying it's equal to the white car. It's just that it's not a white vehicle. But the Brown case, the Brown and versus the education one, you know, the girl that they didn't want to enlist in the college at the all-white college, they'll ask you a situation like, which of these cases changed the outcome of the Ferguson case? You know, it's a Brown case. You know, because the Ferguson case was before the Brown, and then after the Brown, then the Ferguson. They'll ask you about the Texas case. Texas case, guys. I'm trying to remember everything, but you know, you won't remember everything. They ask a lot of questions about the cases, the Supreme case. So I want you guys to look into that. They did ask, why did the colonists wanted to be away from the British ruling. They asked that. They did ask the revolution. What did cause the Revolution War? They asked. They asked about. They'll ask you a question, like they'll say, for example, what are the roles of the judicial review? But they didn't ask you the way I said, what are the roles? They'll be like, the government, da 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 da, and da da da. Which of these are in Article 1 of the Confederation or something like that? But based on the answer and based on the question, you know it's a judicial review. So when you look at A, B, or C, you know, you look for judicial, judicial or whatever, you know, something like that. But overall, guys, the test for me, I believe my one was a little bit harder than what I expected, or maybe because I went in it with the questions that I had in mind, and they asked it the different way, because I believe I got some of them that wrong, but if I'd really looked into it, I would have seen, oh, it's the same question, it's just reworded. So I don't know if anybody else who watches it get the same understanding from it, but that's what I get from it. What else I could say? The first question they asked was about the president for me. They asked you about the case versus Nixon versus United States. They did ask about the Hillary Clinton situation where they said where the Supreme Court ruled that donors can donate unlimited amount of sum, which case opened the door for that. You know, it's a Hillary Clinton case, you know, but it's not Hillary Clinton. It says the F something, you know. Yeah, they asked about the case with the girl who got caught smoking in school. They asked about that one. They asked about Gideon. They asked about the Gideon case. They asked about the Miranda case. They asked about the Ogden case. They asked about the bank one. The Maryland versus Maryland, the bank one. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. They asked about the. Let me get that phone call and come back. I might use my phone to remember some stuff. All right, guys, I got my phone now, so I could give you a little bit more information. They asked about the Brown case versus Broward Education. They asked about the MAP versus Ohio case. They did ask that one. They asked about what form of government is the United States. They did ask that one. They also asked what rights are stated in the Declaration of Independence. They did ask that one. They did ask what are the three branches of government, but they didn't ask it this way, what are the three branches of government? They asked you, like stating, what did the colonies, or they'll say, let's say, for example, I was one of, no, I'm not using myself, but they asked, the colonies wanted, or the Federalists or the Anti-Federalists wanted to make sure the people are considered or they're being looked after. And you know, they ask you that. They ask you about checks and balance, but they didn't ask you what is checks and balance. They ask you about a government and a situation and what would it be. And you know it's a checks and balance case. They ask separation of power. They did ask a separation of power. But the thing is, guys, once you know these definitions, no matter how they word it, you'll catch on to. You might not catch on immediately because you'll be like, yo, this, you know, but once you start getting seasoned into it, you'll catch on. They did ask about the Northwest Ordinance. They did ask about Missouri. They asked about the case where slavery, they'll be like a slave state and a state that is not a slave state. Which one of these help to, you know, I guess, write the Constitution or something like that? And it was promised, they asked you about some of the, again, another call. Let me take this one. Asked about the Great Depression. They did ask that. They asked about the Electoral College. They asked that one. They did ask about, let me see this one. They didn't ask about the Shea Rebellions, but you should study that one. They didn't ask about the Boston Tea Party. You should study that too. They asked about the judicial system. They asked that one. They did ask about members of House of Representatives. I told you that earlier on. Guys, I'm looking at some of my tests, my practice notes, and when I look at them, I remember some of the stuff that comes out. I didn't know why I didn't start the video like that. Hopefully this video is actually helpful to you guys. I really do. They did ask about the amendments. I did tell you they asked about ratify. Is it ratify? What's the word? Ratify? I don't remember what's the word. They asked you how many. Yeah. They didn't ask that. They asked about what is the law of the land. This is the Constitution. Y'all should know that one. They did ask about the. Did I say Magna Carta? They asked something about that. They asked about who wrote. Like they'll ask one of the questions by stating which one of the who wrote the Federalist Papers or something like that, the Anti-Federalist Paper or something like that. Any answer with Thomas Jefferson in it, don't choose that one because Thomas didn't write it. So that's what I did to know. Federalist Paper. They asked about Federalist Paper 51. They did ask about that. I don't know if I got that one right, but I see it right here and I just didn't know why I didn't study it. But I still passed, so it doesn't matter anymore. They did ask about that. They asked about something about Louisiana. They asked about the slave that left and gone to a slave-free state and his owner died. I don't like the term owner. I don't know why they call it that. And did y'all know that they rule against him, saying that he's not a human being, he's a property? Like, anyways, they asked about that. They asked about Ben Franklin. They asked about Ben Franklin. They asked about the civil rights movement, but the answer they gave for the civil rights, and I knew they did this on purpose. Like they'll ask you something about the civil rights movement, and the answer, you know, one of the answers would have been what caused the civil rights movement, and then you could say slavery. They didn't do that. They said equal rights. The answer is equal rights, right? But I think that was deliberate on their part, meaning that they could have been like, once we hear civil rights, we know we align it with slavery, right? But I feel like the narrative needs to be changed, or they want the narrative to change, even though we know that's a part. So they didn't give you slavery as an answer. They give you another answer that is also correct. You understand me? So if you don't know your history and they say, oh, what was the civil rights movement about? And then you'll be like, oh, equal opportunity or whatever it is, it's still right. But they didn't let you choose slavery for it. But in the practice quiz or anything you see, they're going to say slavery. All right. The Civil Rights Act, I talk about that. They ask about amendment, they ask you about the amendment of, like they'll say, which amendment have these in it? Meaning, and I think it's where the quartering of soldiers, that's one of them. They asked about the Nixon case. I told you that. They asked about Johnson versus Texas. Yeah, remember I was telling you about this Johnson versus Texas. That's the guy who burned the flag. Yeah. They asked about the dude who wore the black armband, the Chinese guy. They asked about, I told you Gideon. They did that. So guys, just make sure you do some little research. You don't have to kill yourself up. Just have some knowledge of, once you read over the paper or read over the study guide, it'll be in your brain. So when you're in the test, it's going to come back to you. So if you're stressing about it, don't stress. I know you have some people who have out of college, did their last government class years ago. And for them to now do it now, their brain is not fresh with it. So I know that's one of the situations. But just take your time and make sure you check out the Veggie FAU page. Watch the 2 videos. You will learn, I promise you. Anyways, that's my take on the Florida literacy exam. I hope what I said helped. It was off the top of my head with most of the things I said, and I was just trying to give a feedback. And all you need is 60% to pass, so you'll do good. Because I started studying 3 days prior to the test. really start studying the day before, like this morning and last night. And I retained most of what I read, so it helped me. But you'll be fine. Anyways, guys, hope you like this video. Hope it helped you, and you don't feel shy to come back to this video and say, you know what, I did pass the test. Leave your comment and let me know.